because I was like gonna say like voice acting's like always like fascinated me. Like for you personally, are there any specific like techniques or like rituals that help you get into character?
It really depends on the role.
Yeah.
Sometimes I could just wake up and walk in and it's real easy. Other times I need to spend hours to prepare. But for the most part, it's usually it consists of vocal warm-ups and then drinking a lot of water and just having a lot of time to rest in between sessions and in between
Mm.
work. So
Have you found that like your voice evolves like the more you record dialogue, like especially with like character, you sort of finding the more story that they're involved in, you're finding your voice as the character?
I think so, yeah. There's a lot of characters that take a lot of time to get used to, and I think there's a lot of characters, for example, this one that
Mm.
take more than just stepping into the booth. It's a huge process of studying the character, knowing the character, setting the tone and the dialogue for the character, and yeah, this role in particular required a lot of studying and also placing. So.
Mm. I was gonna say because is it Taito Ban? Like that's the Japanese vocal actor for your character. Like, do you take any inspiration from their performance, or do you approach it completely separately? Like you're like, this is my character that I'm doing now.
I think with every show where it's a dub, we have to take some inspiration from our Japanese counterparts.
Yeah.
Here, we really look to Bansan to see where how crazy he goes with his line and to kind of gauge our ceiling with
Mm.
what we're able to do. But creatively, for this character and for this audience, we decided to give it our own spin on it as well. So that was really important, which was finding the identity and the unique voice of this character in our own language instead of just trying to be a carbon copy of an existing performance.
Mm.
Because this character is so nuanced and he has so many great moments that kind of just we really needed to hone in on that essence instead of worrying about line by line just repeating a performance that's already been done elsewhere.
Mm.
Because we wanted to add new context and new details to this as well.
Does that sort of help in taking any pressure off the fact that like there's all of the source material? Like, are you sort of able to navigate that and be like, okay, like because you're making it your own thing, you're not really thinking of like, oh, there's so much background with this character, there's so many fans of this character. Like, do you kind of have to just like move that away and not think about that as much?
I mean, kind of, and then not at the same time because
Yeah.
it's a difficult line to tell with any big properties or projects. There's bound to be a lot of pressure and responsibility as a performer to create something that the fans are going to be happy with. So for
Mm.
a fact, that was something we were looking for this project. So even though I had my own creative vision, I still had to be very aware of what it is that fans liked about the character and how I can
Mm.
consciously merge both my vision and their idealization of the character together. But yeah, this is a very involved role, and we're always thinking about it every line we approach. So it's a very cognitive process. We have to be very present for it every little line that we say. So.
Well, it's going off that, like, voice acting obviously requires like for you to convey intense emotion like without physical expression. Like, how is it for you in bringing moments to life using only your voice, or do you find that you're almost sometimes seeing expressions of yours like put into the work?
I think you're only limited by, your imagination and then also the animation.
Mm.
So, if you were to perform in an original media where they were animating it to your voice, you would have limitless, freedom with what you can do, and
Mm,
there's no reason for you to hold back, or there's no reason that voice acting should be any different from on-camera acting, you know?
yeah.
You can still put physicalities into your performance, you can still do everything, and I think uh, that's really important. But when it comes to adapting pre-existing animation with a dub like this, uh,
Mm,
you also have to be fully aware of what it is the animation is doing, because it should inform you as an actor on your specific acting choices. So for me, it's always about paying attention to how the character is moving on screen, and
mm.
if he's not on screen, then that gives me a lot of freedom to do whatever. But if he's moving, then I have to make sure that what I'm doing is honoring the animation as well as the storyline.
Has it gotten easier for you to, I guess, to do like the action acting, where a lot of it's like, like the
I think that's
grunts and
the
groans and that sort of thing?
I think that's the easiest thing, because I've been doing this for many years and I've done many video games and
Yeah.
other action shows. I think the action and screaming of any project is the easiest part. I think the hardest part is nailing everything else about the character that makes it memorable, you know? Because
Yeah.
fight scenes, they're not really about you, they're more so about the action. But there's a lot of other moments where the character can shine through dialogue, and so yeah. Sorry, my cats.
You're right. Were there any aspects of Jin-Woo as a character that you related to personally, and like did portraying him like influence your perspective on self-improvement or like resilience in relation to your own life?
Um, Personally, yeah, there's a lot about him that I related with, especially in earlier in the season because the character goes through a lot of change, and I mean, his journey kind of mirrors mine and his attitude about the world and everything. Because when I started, I was also very naive. I was very angry at the world. I was very upset whenever it felt like everybody else had it better than me.
Mm,
Um, so I definitely saw a lot of myself and my own arrogance in the younger version of him, but it was cool to see how he progressed as a character, and the more power he gained and the more present he became, and the more calculated he became as well, and
mm.
informed of his own decisions. So I did try to implement a lot of my older and earlier mindset into the role, and I think that helped a lot in terms of portraying that naivete. You know.
Would you say that's been the most like rewarding part of voicing Jinwoo?
I think the most rewarding part is actually seeing all the fan reception because,
Mm,
as an artist, we're working so often in a vacuum. So, me and the director, we spend hours and hours on this show, and we work on it even when we're not in the studio. We work on it when we're at home, we're eating dinner, we're always texting each other. So we're working on this show a lot. So to actually see that people are enjoying it and appreciating our efforts and our version of the dub, I think that's very rewarding. And as somebody who's only ever focused on working and creating what I think is a good performance, sometimes I get a little too caught up in it, and I don't realize what other people are saying or seeing about it. So it's been really cool to see the fan reaction and to see how excited everybody is for this movie.
I mean, that's always got to be a nice thing when the fans like respond to it positively, because we sort of know that, the fandoms can be very, very intense with what they like and what they don't like. But as you're
Hmm.
saying, like with collaborating with your director, like do you find that that's something that you like, I guess, try to do in as many projects as possible, like really have that good like collaboration back and
I
forth? Because
mean, I
obviously that,
try to
yeah,
varying degrees of success because it's all about whether the director is into the project as much as you are.
yeah,
Or, sometimes you luck out with an amazing director like Caitlin who really loves the show and has a passion, and then other times it's just a job. And
yeah.
there's nothing you can do about that but do your best. But it
Mm.
is very fortunate and rare whenever you do get a director that cares so much about the end product.
Yeah. And just a little bit, I guess, a little bit more lighthearted before wrap up. I was like, if you looking at everything that you've seen, played, read, like, is there any, if you could voice any character from like a childhood show, movie, like, do you think you'd have someone that you would have loved to have voiced?
It's really hard for me to think about because I always say that everything in my childhood is so, you know, I have a lot of positive memories about these stories and characters that I can't imagine any different, and I wouldn't feel good about like placing myself in
Yeah,
there, because those are my memories, and I wouldn't want to like mess with them. But it's, if there's always going to be future interpretations of characters and new seasons or new versions of characters, and I would just like to, yeah, I'd just like to play more characters, and we'll just see what happens. But personally, I wouldn't go back and change anything about any of the great performances that have been there before me, because I feel like those were great staples of everybody's childhoods and mine as well. So.
yeah. No, that's a good answer. I feel like so many people are nostalgia is such a powerful
Mhm.
thing, and you just really like hold on to what you have, and if it gets reinterpreted, it doesn't change the original in any way. So I think that's
Yeah.
a it's a really great way of looking at it. But yeah, I'm
Mhm.
like I'm someone who like loves when anything goes to the cinema. So when I found out about this project and then realized like, it's like an encapsulation of what's come before and possibly like what's coming after. But like anything that goes big and theatrical is always like a massive win. And anime here does insanely well. So you're definitely gonna be opened up to a whole new Australian audience here. So I just yeah.
It's
So
awesome.
thank you for taking the time out. I know that there's obviously all the issues going on. I'm glad that we got this sorted.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.